reason number 33 to get a Nissan, the cold. Because winter isn't done with us yet. Good thing the 2026 Nissan Rogue was built to conquer all conditions. With intelligent all-wheel drive, standard heated front seats, heated steering wheel, and heated mirrors, you can leave the worst of winter out in the cold. Lease the 2026 Nissan Rogue S starting at 0.4% for up to 36 months. Includes a 0.5% loyalty rebate for qualifying Nissan customers. Until March 2nd on approved credit. Conditions apply. Details at Nissan.
Well, if travel is your business, I imagine the last few months haven't been the greatest. It's my pleasure to welcome a former competitor onto the program. Jessica Laventure, probably a familiar voice for many of you listening to us right now, a digital nomad, a travel vlogger, and you may know her because she used to be on the Global Morning Show, doing the weather on Global Morning Show, used to be on Météo Média. Jessica, how you doing?
I'm good. Considering the circumstances, all is pretty well.
Do you remember those times when we were both doing our sentences in morning show television at the same time, and we were competing on different shows? Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
You don't? Oh,
no. That's we don't need to.
It was fun times.
No.
I like that.
No, I'm just kidding. It was fun. That was a fun time.
So listen, your career has taken you to many places. Mm-hmm. You ended up in Mexico, working there. You do so many things. You do these travel videos. You've got a YouTube channel now, and you've brought up. I was just, the reason we came across this story. I was just looking through social media. And I saw a post of yours, which sort of brought to light a whole bunch of things happening. Tell me what's going on when it comes to people that need to travel, people like you, people that have got, boyfriends, girlfriends, and husbands and wives in other countries. Tell me some of the issues you're facing right now.
Well, the main issue is with travel insurance, and I think this is, I think this is something that's not talked about enough because we're talking so much about the travel industry picking up again, and people being encouraged to go out and travel, and I'm all for that. Heck, I want to go. That's good and everything, but we're not talking about the fact that travel insurance companies won't cover you for COVID-related expenses, and they specifically say any expense that is directly or indirectly related to COVID. Now, what is indirectly related to COVID? What does that mean? I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
It's a great way for an insurance company not to pay is what it sounds like.
That's exactly what it sounds like. Basically, what I was told is, they're really covering themselves, no pun intended, in this situation because they're really making it clear that they will not pay, if it's for COVID or if it seems like it's for COVID or if it's related in some way to COVID. And so that's kind of a problem.
Okay, so you've got a boyfriend in Mexico. You were living in Mexico, and then COVID hit. You returned back home to Quebec.
I did. And so in a nutshell, what happened is, when all this news started coming out, obviously the Canadian government was telling people, you need to come back. Everybody, all the travelers out there need to come back. And I was thinking to myself, well, I have an apartment here, have a life here. I guess maybe that doesn't apply to me. But, the government was pretty insistent. I was getting, emails. I'm on the registry of, Canadians traveling abroad. And so I got emails and text messages, and it was like, why are you not coming back? Is it because of a financial issue? If it is, here are the links and the resources to help you out. Is it because of, a visa issue? Then here, basically asking me every day, why are you not coming back? Here's what we can do to help. And so that was sort of putting pressure. And then, of course, my family and friends, were saying, man, you need to come back. Like, this is crazy. And the thing is, in Mexico at the time, things were pretty quiet. Like, nobody was talking about this. It was a whole different reality. Like, my sister's calling me, telling me all these updates and saying, okay, now when people come back, they need to quarantine for 14 days. And I'm literally sitting in a restaurant when she tells me this, and I'm with a group of friends, and there's tourists everywhere, and nobody's talking about this. So it was a weird, reality. And then what really sort of brought the point home is when I got a call from my insurance. I have a private insurance because I'm no longer on the RAMQ, the
Medicare, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a private insurance that covers me like here and elsewhere. And so I got an email from them. And the thing is, at first, when everything came out, I messaged them and I asked them, am I covered for COVID? And they answered me right away, yes, you are. Don't worry, you're covered. Anything happens, you're covered for everything. Oh, all right. Then I guess I'll just stay. And then 5 days later, I get an email saying, no, that changed. You're no longer covered for COVID. In fact, you have 5 days to come back to the country. And if you don't come back within that time frame, you're not covered for COVID.
Jeez. And that obviously will put so much stress on someone. Jessica, by the way, we're with Jessica Laventure, digital nomad and a travel vlogger. And Jessica, I'm getting a text message here from someone saying, my insurance company called me, said they won't renew my insurance to go with because of the government travel restriction guidelines. So I'm asking myself this, just because I've been curious, at night you're thinking about, when will I get to go travel again? And I went on to the Google Flights. I did some searches for flights. What if maybe end of the summer I can go somewhere, right? And as airlines are planning flights again, right? They're opening up the flights. But you're telling me, I get on a flight, I go to Europe, I go somewhere, I got no health coverage.
To be clear, from what I understand, you'll have health coverage
for everything but COVID, right?
Exactly. And so, some of these companies were saying, yes, but don't worry, you're still covered for everything else. I'm like, well, that's nice. But to me, it feels like the number one thing I'm the most at risk of catching right now is COVID. In a pandemic, I feel like that's the thing you need to be covered for. Not that everything else is not important, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's an issue. And, at first I was told that it would be this way until the travel advisories would be lifted. Mm-hmm. And, that was frustrating in itself. And I think that's when you first contacted me. I was pretty frustrated because I was like, when is that going to happen? Because, yes, the travel industry is starting up again, but the travel advisories are still there. The Canadian government is still very, adamant about saying avoid all non-essential travel. So until that's lifted, 100% for sure, no one's going to cover you. So that's, to me, I was like, well, why isn't anybody talking about this? Yes, hotels are reopening and, destinations are reopening and there's special prices on flights and everything. But it's like, okay, but no one's insured. And I'm thinking, I'm sure a lot of people don't realize that.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think people are talking about that. And I know people that are like, yeah, I'm getting back in. I'm planning a trip, come the fall. I'm going to go somewhere because I'm hoping it's going to die down. And I don't think people have any idea that they're not going to cover COVID-19.
Exactly. And some might argue, and I've heard I've got a lot of people responded to these posts, and I'm getting, comments from both sides. Some people argue, well, you may not get COVID, and that's true. Yeah. And also, I may not get symptoms, or I may not get strong enough symptoms to need care. I get that. And so, I could go back and take the risk. Yeah. But then I feel like I'll always be thinking, well, what if?
Of course.
And what if I catch it? And what if I need something, doctor's appointment, or anything? It could be little, but it could be big. And then that's where I would have to foot the bill.
And just, Jessica, think about our listeners who are maybe in their 50s or their 60s or their 70s and that kind of stuff. They, maybe they don't have the, being young and in great shape like you, right? So,
right.
Jessica, just one last thing as we wrap up here. So, what about you and your love, your boyfriend? You've been split up for such a long
3
time.
Months.
Yeah. So, what are you going to do?
That's a good question. Somebody please tell me. Right now, the two choices, either I head back there, take the risk, or I wait a little bit more, see what happens. But I feel, the waiting game it sucks.
Yeah. Jessica, how do our listeners follow you now? All of our listeners that remember you from your TV days, how do we follow you now?
Well, I'm definitely very present on social media, so I've got a YouTube channel. Just type in Jessica Laventure. I'm on Instagram at Jess Laventure, and I'm also on Facebook, Jessica Laventure, and I'll be keeping people posted on this situation.
Jessica, thanks so much. It is great to hear your voice and hear
Likewise.
your voice on
Thank you, Elias.
English Media in Montreal once again. All right, that's Jessica Laventure.